let's watch this. Let's watch
It
this.
seemed like
This
the
came out a
end
week
of
ago.
Christianity. Gen Z was the most atheist, lonely, depressed, and hedonistic generation in human history.
Yeah, yeah.
But these past couple of
Yeah,
years,
for sure,
something
man.
has changed. Gen Z has reversed
And
the
it's
decline of
because of
Christianity.
a
For the
lack
first
of
time ever, children are
Christianity
more
and
religious
nothing
than their
else.
parents,
And
there's
nothing
more
else.
interest in traditional Christianity than ever before. How did this happen? Gen Z was the first generation to be raised in a
Why do we have to use religion to justify homophobia? Religion is a tool used by the bourgeois to create class division. Okay, so like a lot of poor people are homophobic, and that's by design. Okay, because poor people are workers, they're laborers, and so you want the poor people to be fighting amongst each other. That's the point. So like what you do is you install religious leaders into churches. You're the capitalist, okay? You're like the owner. You make friends with church leaders. Okay, give them gifts, give them money, and then tell them what to preach. Tell them what to fucking say to the masses, and that's it. That's what like that's basically what happens. Okay, that's maybe not like literally, but that's pretty much what happens. And they're like, yeah, like tell them that like being gay is a sin, and tell them that abortion is a sin, or like blah 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 blah. Like that's where all these fucking ideas come from. When people are like, oh, like I'm like anti-abortion because, or like I'm this issue. I'm like Republican on this issue because I'm a Christian, because I got Christian values. And it's because the reason they say that is because they go to church. These dumb fucks go to church and they listen to the man up at the podium. And the guy's like, God hates abortion. And then they're like, yeah. Some countries will kill or jail you for being gay. Why would it be a choice? No one is afraid of pussy, but if you aren't attracted to it, we aren't going anywhere near it. Some of the biggest homophobes are usually outed for something heinous. That's true. But it doesn't make any sense. Why do we follow something that we don't even know if it's real? I don't have an answer for that. I think that humans be religious. I think humans just be believing in various gods. It doesn't really it doesn't just like fill in the gaps of mystery of what we don't know. It's also an explanation for what we do know. Why do you believe in God? Not as an insult, I'm just curious. I think that is a difficult question to answer. I think that I believe in God because I want to. And I think I'm a Christian because of where I was born and how I was raised. The values that were instilled in me. As a black man and the history of my people, I just can't believe 400 years of slavery and we're suddenly free isn't a thank you God moment. Yeah, I agree. Like reparations should have been paid way back then. That would have made it a lot better. Like that would have I'm not saying that would have like completely corrected the fact, like you can't erase what happened, but ideally I think our country should have just like paid reparations. That's what we did wrong. But of course they didn't. Of course they didn't, because there always has to be an exploited class.
Secular post-Christian environment. They were the guinea pigs for the experiment of secularism, so they got to see the effects of secularism firsthand. So here's what it was like growing up Gen Z.
I just wish
Welcome
I knew what
to school.
what
Hope
our
you're
purpose
excited to
is
sit
on this
still
earth.
and do mindless work for 8 hours every day. Not really.
I think our purpose is to build something. I don't really know what that is yet, but I think that's what our purpose is. We're here to create.
That sounds like a mental disorder.
Humans have been able to pretty much create anything that we've imagined so far. We don't even know if we'll get those answers after death, and even if we did, it's not like we can send that message. Okay.
Could help. Okay, so how do I get good grades? By learning and being creative? No. School is designed for 20 highlighter girls who are neat and organized and submit meaningless homework on time, not for guys like you with energy and motivation. Now here's why you should hate your country, race, sex, and religion. Okay, now I'm gonna try to get a girlfriend.
What? What? Yeah, that's... Yeah. Yeah, schools are... That's what they're teaching kids. They're like, hate America. America, kill, naughty man. I always thought we were a social experiment to see if we could coexist. LOL, maybe it wasn't worded great, but I meant I want to know if God is real once we're dead. Is there a heaven/hell? I think what is important about religion isn't the afterlife, man. I just, like, that's why, like, I don't mean to come off as rude, but when you ask me stuff like that, I just find it boring and circular. It's just like it goes on and on. Okay, we can talk about like the realistic aspect of religion. The most important thing about my religion is what is like the lessons that are taught, okay, in the scripture, in the Bible. The Bible is just like a really long fucking story, okay, and Jesus is at the center of all of it, okay, but it's just like this story about a group of people versus their oppressors, and yeah, and then in the New Testament, then there's the Messiah and religious persecution. That's why so many Christians, by the way, have like a victim complex. I think it's kind of baked into the story. I get that, but why? But I don't get why religion exists. It's a scam. LOL. I'm sorry. All right. You'll hear a lot of like asshole Christians say this shit, and it's fucking annoying to hear them say it. But it's all about the morals. Okay, the lessons. See, I think that the Bible, what Christians all agree on is that, like, the Bible, you're supposed to be like Jesus, like you're supposed to make decisions like he did, and I think that Jesus was like, if he were alive today, he would be a communist, okay, or he would be a democratic socialist, or he would just be a socialist. He would be a left-wing person. Okay, why? Because, like, just read what he did. Like, he fed the poor, he hung out with hookers, with prostitutes, and he hated rich people. I mainly, or he didn't hate anyone, whatever. He when I say Jesus hated rich people, I mean he thought that the class structure, the hierarchy that existed at the time, should be dismantled, and he thought that it was unlikely that rich people would make it into heaven most of the time, because most rich people are terrible people. Anytime we have a mass murdering in our country, we're slapped with my prayers are with the families from politics. If they love this country so much, why can't they do more than just pray? Like, do these politicians actually love this country, or just love having money and spreading propaganda? Yeah, money is kind of a religion, and I think a lot of people they hold it, but it's the people that be like talking about God and we're like God's country, we're like God's chosen people. It's those motherfuckers that always, like, Christianity is always second to money. Okay, of course it is. Of course it is. Politicians, I don't think most of them give a fuck about their fellow human, which is, of course, what Jesus Christ tried to teach people to care about. Instead, I think our politicians just care about money from their donors. And the reason why they do is because people that have their priorities like that, they are uplifted into the role of a politician. And not every single politician is like that, but I can only think of, like, two senators right now that aren't like that, or 2 Congress people. But my intentions were never to bore you. Yeah. Yeah, I want to, like, when I don't really talk about my religion that much, but when I do talk about it, I would like to emphasize that the religion is just about Jesus and interpreting what he did, applying it to the today world, and that's why it's really frustrating to like talk to these conservatives, these American nationalists that like claim to be true Christians, and they're like, yeah, like we need to like embrace conservative trad values in this ever-changing world where we're supposed to like apply our religion to what is happening today. But no, the children, they must be shot by guns. We can't, the Second Amendment is our right as Americans.
These days, people just do casual hookups and situationships, and we're only interested in like 10% of guys, which does not include you. And you're happy about all this? Oh no, I'm dying inside, but I can't act otherwise due to social pressure. If you don't get your grades up, you're gonna fail. What about the kids who never go to class or do homework but graduate anyway?
I have a feeling that this redeemed Zoomer YouTuber is very likely an insecure little man, okay? And a young man, probably, so he still has time, okay? But, like, this is just such a self-report. This is such a fucking self-report. It's crazy. It's crazy. Girls only go after the jock chads. They don't like nice guys like like me. I like being black, I like my chocolate skin, but I will always be inferior if I don't look like you. Just the way society constructed it. Gotta face it, if it's not Eurocentric features, then you're a subhuman, quote unquote. And for the life of me, I don't get homophobia. Why do they fucking care what someone does with another person? You know, again, people like, they will fall for it's these fucking pastors that are probably 90% of the time bought out by like their biggest donor, the biggest church donors, and they just like read the writing on the wall. They just like say the shit. They're like, yeah, you know, gay people, they're like evil, they're heretics or whatever. They hate Christ. The pastors are the most corrupt, LMAO. Yeah, I agree. They're especially these days. But to say that it's like the left-leaning pastors that are bought out is just the most insane thing to me, because they're like it's so like it. The amount of like conservative leaning churches is, but the conservatives within the church, they make themselves out to be the victims. They're like, all these churches are like becoming progressive and shit. They're all like flying the pride flag, and it's like, what fucking church are we talking about? I think they're most of the time they're talking about one church, which is like a ELCA or something. It's the evangelical. Yeah, I think it's called the Evangelical Lutheran American Church. They're like pretty progressive. They're like, yeah, we're Christian, but we like gay people. And it makes them so mad when like one church is doing it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Anyway, let's keep watching.
Our school isn't allowed to fail those kids due to PR. Well, I have no motivation to work either. Alcohol. What's the point of all this? Hey, now.
Drinking is not going to fix any of this shit, man. But hey, if you look, go ahead.
About the kids who never go to class or do homework but graduate anyway.
What if you do drink alcohol? What do you drink? What's your drink of choice?
Our school isn't allowed to fail those kids due to PR. Well, I have no motivation to work either. What's the point of all this? Hey now, if you get all A's and get into a good college, you might even afford a tiny apartment.
This just seems like utter delusion. What are you
inside.
What are you
talking about? But I can't act otherwise due to social pressure. If you don't get your grades up, you're gonna fail.
Fail.
What about the kids who never go to class or do homework but graduate anyway? Our school isn't allowed to fail.
What the fuck are you talking about? What school is doing this? Is this like a pervasive thing happening? I mean, look, I agree. I agree that this is a thing that happens. I just, like, you're the one being singled out is what you're telling me here? Like, nah, man, there are kids that go through school and they, like, they aren't taught to read. Like, there are illiterate kids coming out of our education system. Our 12-year-long education system. I don't like the guy's voice. Yeah, it's very nasally. He's like, I mean, he's a kid, but he's probably like 20 or something. But yeah, I don't like his voice either. I like his opinions even less. Okay, despite how knowledgeable, despite how knowledgeable he is about fucking Christianity, which, by the way, if somebody is like super knowledgeable about Christianity, instant red flag. If they're like a nerd about, first of all, they're probably Presbyterian, and second of all, they're probably like the most racist man alive. Okay, that's probably what's going on. Not a kid. Don't say that again. I don't know. Man. I don't know. You're right, young man.
Well, those kids do to PR. Well, I have no motivation to work either. What's the point of all this? Hey, now, if you get all A's and get into a good college, you might even afford a tiny apartment someday. Well, that's depressing. You're depressed? Seems like you need therapy. No.
So that's an interesting topic to talk about. So he's talking about, he's getting all political with it. Obviously, a lot of his videos are political. Okay, it's under the guise of like I'm just a Christian. This is just my Christian opinion. Okay, but like, this is very obviously like he's talking about politics all the time, all the fucking time. He's talking about politics. And anyway, this person is a conservative. He's complaining about rent pricing right now. That's what he's basically doing. He's like, "Wow, like I'm never gonna get."
Well, I have no motivation to work either. What's the point of all this?
What's the point of everything? Now, if you get all A's and get into a good college. Why do you think rent is so high, dumbass? Do you think it's because we're like not Christian enough? Are you fucking serious? No, it's because it's because corporations are buying up properties, like corporations like BlackRock. Like motherfucking BlackRock are buying up properties, jacking up the prices, not selling, leaving buildings empty, leaving houses empty. There are a ton of unoccupied. I'm pretty sure we have more unoccupied houses than people living on the street. Okay, houses, not even just like not even just empty apartments. Okay, and they are leaving these places empty to jack up the prices. Of course they are. Of course they're fucking doing that. It's so stupid. Like, none of this is because of a lack of our religion, man. My brother in Christ. Okay, just like it is because of rich people. It is because of the capitalists. Yeah, true.
College, you might even afford a tiny apartment someday. Well, that's depressing. You're depressed? Seems like you need therapy. No, I just want to know what I'm even working for in life.
Yeah, I mean, therapy isn't the answer either. We need higher material conditions. We should uplift the poor. Don't you think that's what Jesus would want to do? Instead of just telling homeless people, like, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like, what if we gave them actual social welfare, social safety nets? What if we gave that to all people in all constituents in our nation? Oh, no, we can't do that. How will Walmart record profits again?
This was a pretty normal experience for Gen Z men. They grew up lost, hopeless, lonely, and with no meaning in their lives. They also grew up surrounded by wokeness, which celebrated many groups of people, but said that men were the oppressor group and needed to take a back seat in society. The only voices speaking against the status quo were Christians and the cultural right, which have always had an uneasy on and off alliance with each other. There's a lot of overlap between them, because they often support
an uneasy alliance? Uneasy? Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? He's sort of right. Okay, Christians have had an uneasy alliance with the right. But the leadership at churches? Are you jacking my penis, right? What the fuck are you talking about, man? You're yanking my chain, okay? I went a little too far with the last one, but My bad.
But said that men were the oppressor group and needed to take a back seat in society.
Okay.
The only voices speaking against the status quo were Christians and the cultural right, which have always had an uneasy on and off alliance with each other. There's a lot of overlap between them because they often support the same things, but for different reasons. While not all Christians are on the right, and not everyone on the right is Christian, the right was an important stepping stone for many young men coming to Christianity. If we're going to be honest, most young men
Peterson has never said he's not a Christian, and also he goes to church all the time. He just refuses, for some weird reason, to say he's a Christian. I guess I think it is to give off the vibe that, like, he fears persecution for his Christianness. Even though realistically that would never fucking happen. Christians are never persecuted for their beliefs. I'm a Christian, and I have never once felt like persecuted for believing in Christian values. That's crazy. I don't know.
Didn't go from weed-smoking atheists to Bible-believing Christians overnight. For most of them, the first step in deconstructing leftism was honestly looking at internet memes that mocked wokeness, so they could see how silly all of it was and eventually realize the emptiness of secular society. For many young men, the first step away from leftism is skepticism of the whole LGBTQ movement, which causes them to get cancelled, which further radicalizes them.
Yeah, so he's kind of describing the pipeline here. I disagree with him. I don't think that, like hating on the LGBT movement is the first step. That is not the first step to radicalization. Off topic, but who is Zoran Mamdani? Mamdani is the Democratic mayoral candidate in New York, and he's going up against Mayor Eric Adams. Yeah, that's gonna be a real close election. Yeah, Mayor Adams is really gonna give him a run for his money.
So they could see how silly all of it was and eventually realize.
Wait, hold on, I lost my train of thought.
Most young men didn't go from weed-smoking atheists to Bible-believing Christians overnight. For most of them, the first step in deconstructing leftism was honestly looking at internet memes that mock wokeness, so they could see how silly all of it was and eventually realize the emptiness of secular society. For many young men, the first step away from leftism.
Yeah, I mean, and like, it's not just like funny memes. Like, you have to twist left-wing ideology in such a way to make it look ridiculous. He's right that the memes are, like, if you want to call them that, or like a first step. They're not always like kind of memes. I don't know how to explain it. Like these fucking images that right-wing people pass around. I gotta wait. But he's not white. Why did they pick him? Mayor Adams isn't white, and Mamdani. I mean, like, they've had mayoral candidates that are people of color. That's not that strange for New York, I don't think. I'm like thinking back on it. Wasn't there like in the 70s there was like a brown mayor? Am I crazy? I might be crazy actually. Yeah, I probably am. Thought America just wanted a straight white male. Depends on where in America. If not in 90% of places in rural areas, yeah, of course. But anyway,
is skepticism of the whole LGBTQ movement,
LGBT,
which causes them to
I'm not sure I believe in 76 genders. Hateful, but yeah, that's what immediate. I don't think that there's 76 genders. Immediately attacked by green hair feminist.
Cancelled, which further radicalizes them. Since leftism is a rival religion to Christianity, it's often necessary to lose faith in leftism before you can be.
What the fuck are you talking about? We worship the self, seek to spread the worship of the self into every aspect of society. What in the goddamn are you talking about?
Not only did Gen Z lose faith in leftism, they lost faith in modern society generally. Because previous generations were living off of the benefits of Christian society, they were able to have more faith in the material things of this world. But since society for Gen Z looked more bleak, they had to turn to spiritual things for meaning in life. This can loosely be applied to the generations. Previous generations were able to take a successful society for granted, and saw less of a need to turn to God, but that made them weaker and less religious, which made society worse, which is making Gen Z turn to God. This also applies to countries. It's a common pattern that after centuries of Christianity, especially Protestant Christianity, countries will become insanely successful, but then due to their success, they'll forget about God. This is also the pattern we see in the book of Judges many times over. The things that people often get meaning from, like money, romance, achievements,
friendship. They just cannot stop with the weak men create the hard times. The the hard times create the strong men. They can't. First of all, it isn't true. Like societies, they're not in a vacuum, okay, of domestic or like civil progress, okay? That's not how it works. Like, countries go through hard times, they go through good times, and sometimes those hard times are caused by people within the country. Sometimes it's caused by external factors. Like, and usually it's a combination of the two happening at the same time, or like balancing with each other. Okay, so it's like these external factors and also the internal constituents of the nation. So to like boil it down to like the weak men make the country bad, and that bad country makes the strong men, and then they make it good again. It's so fucking stupid. It's so dumb. Like that. Like, you are not living in reality. You are not living in real life. You are in like fairy tale land. And like that's where a lot of Christians want to escape to. And I think that is because we live in a society that is so un-Christian like. But like it claims that it's like the most Christian nation, the most moral nation on the planet. Constantly, that's what we're like being hit over the head with. White people used religion to justify slavery. LOL, I hate how people can spread misinformation. White people use science to justify slavery, okay? And they use religion as well. Like, I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. That is true, but like, it's not to say that religion is evil and is like always going to produce outcomes like that. Like, religion is a tool that can be wielded by the ruling class. It can be wielded by the working class, but somebody has to pick it up and take it, if that makes sense.
Friendship and self-image are not necessarily bad things, but when they become ultimate things, meaning things that you can't have meaning without, then they become idols, which means false gods. Now, sometimes when people lose all of these things and can't get any meaning from them, they turn to Christianity because that's something that can never go away. The reason people are starting to favor Christianity over secularism is because Christianity offers objective goodness, truth, and beauty. Modern secular society says those things are just subjective opinions, which inevitably leads to degeneracy, lies, and ugliness in modern society.
No, that's not true. That's another thing I disagree with.
Is because Christianity offers objective goodness, truth, and beauty.
And this is a person that claims to be an intellectual.
Modern secular society says those things are just subjective.
I don't see how you can like fucking be an honest intellectual and actually think stupid shit like this. Secularism, it's not that Christianity good, secularism bad, okay? Because they're not. They are two things that exist. There are good and bad things about both of them. And seeing how secularism can be good in some ways does not mean that you're not a Christian, okay? Like, if you stop looking at things for, like, whether or not you like them, okay, in terms of... If you stop looking at things in terms of whether you like or dislike them, and instead look at things in an effort to find objective truth, you will find peace, Redeemed Zoomer. You will find true peace. And I don't think that
which inevitably leads to degeneracy, lies, and ugliness in modern
society. It's just degeneracy. It's just lies. Yeah. Yeah, no. A secular state is not a bad thing because a non-secularist state is one where there's, like, divine authority, okay? Do you understand? Like, you cannot have religion in government, or it just devolves into God made me supreme ruler. And he told me that, we gotta, like, triple or quadruple these deportations. Oh, yes, the picture-perfect family, just like the 50s, the perfect family. The drunk, doped-up mother, the abused father, the closeted son, and the thought daughter. Oh, yeah. Society.
Christian philosophy calls goodness, truth, and beauty the transcendentals, because they're all objective, they're all connected to each other, and they're all rooted in God's nature, because goodness, truth, and beauty each reflect God in various ways. But modern secular philosophy questions the existence of God, so goodness, truth, and beauty become nothing but...
No, no. Secularist thought is not questioning whether or not God exists. It just doesn't assume that a God does exist. Okay, it is absent of religious thought, which is exactly what you need in an institution that is supposed to provide welfare to all constituents equally. Okay, give welfare and social safety nets to everybody equally, regardless of their religion. That's reason number one that you shouldn't, have a non-secularist state. Secularism doesn't mean nobody can be religious, nobody is allowed to be religious. That is insanity.
Human opinions. That's why they say things like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or live your truth. Those are actually secular modernist sayings. Since objective goodness, truth, and beauty don't exist according to secularism, any claims to objective goodness, truth, or beauty by the church, for example, are seen as tools of oppression that need to be deconstructed. Take goodness, for example. According to Christianity, morals come from God, and therefore there's a clear line between good and evil. So the so-called traditional family structure is not just based on tradition, but it's actually prescribed by God because it's necessary for human flourishing. Secularism looks at that same family structure and calls it oppressive because it's just based on arbitrary restrictions of people's rights. So they do everything they can to
But where in the Bible does it say thou shalt must have the appropriate family unit with husband, wife, and 1.5 children? Or 2.5 children, and the dog, and the picket fence. Like, that's not in the fucking Bible, bro. I'm sorry, it's not. Like, if you are to apply Christianity to the modern day, there is nothing, there's like no mention of the nuclear family unit in the Bible. Of course, they show a picture from the 50s, yeah, because, like, those are the good old days, Remember, we used to be a country, goddammit. We used to play baseball and like, don't think about the racism thing, because or actually racism was awesome, or something like that. That's what they're gonna say.
Deconstruct it. They encourage women to be childless workers into their 40s. They encourage young women to party and sleep around.
What he would say is like, no, racism is godlessness. It's godless. It's like, that's what happens when you're godless, and it's like, okay, so why was that happening back then? Because I thought we were like super Christians back in the day. Okay, so who from the right has a family that he is describing? Trump, Palin? Yeah, I mean, nobody. It's an unrealistic thing. There is no nuclear family anymore. There's like, hardly anyone. And yeah, that the same is true of like people in the public eye, like Trump or Palin. Yeah, Trump does not have a nuclear family, and I don't think Palin does either. I could be wrong about that. Why is he making a video about this? Why does anybody make any videos on the internet? Probably because he thought it would get views, but yeah, I mean, he's making this video. It's like he's doing the victory laps. Like, this is obviously a Trump supporter. There's no way this person didn't fucking vote for Trump. So, yeah, I mean, it's just like, patting themselves on the back. Palin's daughter's ex became a porn star, from what I heard. Never saw it.
They never settle down. They promote no-fault divorce, which breaks up families. They promote the LGBTQ movement, which breaks down the barriers between genders. And they promote abortion. Previous generations saw the absence of restrictions as freedom, but more...
I've never met a leftist that advocates for no-fault divorce. I'm sorry, man. That's not, like, a controversial issue. And if they did, I would be like, that's kind of weird. That kind of doesn't make sense. Like, divorces do typically have a party at fault. And anyway, I've never met a fucking left. Like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Never settle down. They promote it because it's just based on arbitrary restrictions of people's rights. So they do everything they can to deconstruct it. They encourage women to be childless workers into their 40s. They encourage...
Okay, women to be childless workers into their 40s. Yeah, I don't think real leftists advocate for anybody to, like, work themselves to the bone to the point where they can't have a child. when they're in their fucking 40s. I think that every leftist wants everybody to have the things they need to start a family when they're at an age where that is appropriate. Yeah, but anyway.
Encourage young women to party and sleep around and never settle down. They promote no-fault divorce, which breaks up families.
This guy just pisses me off. This has to be engagement. I refuse to believe this shit. No, I mean, he's like a... I don't think he's doing this for engagement. No, this person... he believes this shit, okay? But, like, look, man, like, he's just a... He's a conservative. Like, I don't know if you talk to motherfuckers like this, but I do, so... You know, I know how it is, okay? This is the way that... This is what they think, okay? And, it's getting worse, and it's only gonna get worse over the next few years, but I don't know. Maybe we'll elect, like, a democratic socialist. Where is his family and his 2.5 kids, then? Well, you see, he doesn't have it, and the reason why is because, Christianity is dying, Christians are being persecuted, and the woke is winning. But we're fighting back. We're fighting back against the woke. With my YouTube channel, Redeem Zoomer. Outlast. Nah. Nah, I'm watching a video
40s,
right
they encourage young women to party and sleep around and never settle down. They promote no-fault divorce, which breaks up families. They promote the LGBTQ movement, which breaks down the barriers between genders, and they promote abortion. Previous generations saw the absence of restrictions as freedom, but more and more young people are starting to realize how empty that life is and are desiring a traditional family. Now let's talk about truth. Christians believe that truth comes from God, revealed in the Bible, but once we understand that, we can also study science, because science is the study of God's creation. Christian ideas laid the groundwork for modern science because they believe the world was created by an intelligent God. It's why Christians started the modern university system. Most of the Ivy League schools were started by Bible-believing Calvinists. So Christianity has never been opposed to science. What secularism tried to do was take the science without the Christianity and build a worldview based on the physical, ignoring the metaphysical. But they realized that they had no objective reason to believe anything that they believed, and now secularism can't answer basic scientific questions like what is a woman.
No, man. Secularism is not just like science and that's it. Okay, it's like a lot of secularist thought is hypothetical, is theoretical. Okay, because we're talking about the structure of government and government institutions. That's what secularism is, okay? It's all about like secularists believe that the state, the government, must be separate from the church. And these two things can't ever combine. Institutions cannot become religious. Which is true, which is correct. That is just a fact. Why the fuck are we arguing about this? Is secularism bad? Like, I don't know, man. Why don't you ask the founding fathers if they thought that? I got an A, she got a D, put me on the spot, you passed, that's all that matters. I'll be home in 10 if you guys want to hop on. It's early right now, what the hell? It's like 9 a.m.
People are starting to see how ridiculous this is and turning to tradition.
According to secularism? What? Showing what is a woman? What the fuck are you talking about, man? The truth is, What is a Woman by Matt Walsh. That's what secularists believe. They believe in What is a Woman by Matt Walsh. That's fucking crazy. I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying that, like, oh yeah, like, secularist equals leftist, and leftist equals blue hair, gender studies major, and Matt Walsh, owned the blue-haired feminist SJWs in the marketplace of ideas. And goddamn,
Christianity for answers about the world.
Crazy.
Many traditional forms of Christianity, like Presbyterian, Lutheran, Catholic, and Orthodox, have detailed theological systems that answer all the questions modern society ignores. Now, beauty is something that even many modern Christians misunderstand. Traditional Christianity believes beauty is objective and it points us to God. Traditionally, churches were designed to look like colonies of heaven here on earth. And the traditional Western church architecture style, the Gothic style, is meant to be upward pointing because it shows the tension between heaven and earth. Traditional architecture reflects the beauty of nature because Christians believe God designed the beauty of nature to glorify himself. Traditional art was about living up to beauty standards, but modern art is about challenging them. People will walk in a modern art gallery and think, I'm supposed to enjoy this? Well, no, you're not, because that's not the purpose of modern art. The purpose of modern art is just to rebel against beauty. It's the same in music. Many of the best traditional classical composers like Bach and Handel were devout Christians who believed they were glorifying God.
I think that the point of art, to like explain it, is obscene, because the point of art can be whatever the fuck you want it to be. Okay, but art imitates life. That's what I think. Art is, and that's the point of it. Art imitates life. And that's what modern art is all about. And that's not to say that modern art is good or that it's bad. It's just, like, some of it's good and some of it's bad. But I'm a little drunk. There are some trans men that are hot as fuck. Haha, people slaved away to make those buildings. You think people were like, yes, I'd love to make this. I think so. Like, yeah, I think that that those buildings, I don't know which cathedrals were made with forced labor or enslaved labor, if any at all. I think that people built buildings without like needing slavery to do it. Okay, even back then. Wait, Jacob was muted for me. Did he respond to what I said? Yeah, I responded. No. I said I did not want to play Outlast. I don't want to play Outlast. I don't like Outlast.
Their music. Beethoven was the first to try and use music as a form of self-expression by challenging traditional musical norms. And although he was a great composer, everyone else tried to copy him and push the boundaries of music more and more until it sounded like a cat walking on a piano. So goodness, truth, and beauty are pushing young people towards Christianity, specifically expression by challenging traditional musical norms. And it's the same in music. Many of the best traditional classical composers like Bach and Handel were devout Christians who believed they were glorifying God through their music. Beethoven was the first to try and use music as a form of self-expression by challenging traditional musical norms. And
was he bad? I don't get it. Like, I like Bach too. I was never a big fan of Haydn, but yeah, like what the fuck? Like, Mozart was Christian, so was Beethoven. Just because like religion wasn't their like main purpose for making art. And anyway, like I don't even know what he's saying here, because he's certainly not saying that Beethoven is bad.
And although he was a great composer, everyone else tried to copy him and push the boundaries of music more and more until it sounded like a cat walking on a piano.
Everyone else tried to copy him? Okay, I have a degree in music, so I'm qualified to talk about this. Yeah. Yeah, technically I have a degree in music. I'm a bit of an expert myself. And, yeah, that's not what fucking happened, okay? That's what every composer does. Guess what? They copy from other great composers. Okay, they get inspired from other musicians get inspired from each other. And they make music similar to their inspirations. Like, that's how it fucking works. Dumbass.
Piano. So goodness, truth, and beauty are pushing young people towards Christianity, specifically traditional Christianity. There aren't exactly a bunch of young people flocking to non-denominational evangelicalism because it doesn't have beauty, because it's not meant to be historically rooted. And even though it does have some truth, it doesn't have the most deep and intellectual truth because, once again, it's not really rooted in the intellectual traditions of the church. Previous generations of the church actually gave into modernism by making worship more contemporary to try and attract young people, but these days young people desire tradition more than ever across all denominations. Aesthetics have been especially powerful in converting young men to Christianity. Video games trained young men to appreciate the medieval crusader aesthetic because they associated it with adventure, which is something all young men desire. And up until recently, the only way for young men to get adventure in the modern world was video games, but now many of them feel like they have an opportunity to crusade for the old Christian society that was taken from them. The reason it's been taken from them is every society is built on a particular religion, and American society is built on mainline Protestantism. So ever since that got hijacked...
I mean, I don't know. We're, like, speculating about how video games have affected the masses of young men, which is, like, obviously speculative, okay? But anyway, I would argue that, like, I sort of agree with what he's saying. I just think that what's a lot more relevant is, like, the blood sport of video games. Like, video games are usually about murder and killing and, like, violent fantasies, which is fine, like, if you want to do that. But anyway, if anything has affected like society today, it's that, okay? Because, like, our country loves crusading, okay? We love going to war and bombing and killing and doing campaigns, okay? That's what we do. But what he's saying here is, like, video games made men want to become Christian because the Crusades remind them of medieval fantasy.
Backed by liberalism, so did society. Many people have responded by leaving these churches, but a couple years ago, I started a movement called Operation Reconquista to retake these churches. And since then, thousands of people have joined the movement, many of whom are pastors. Young men need a mission, and this could be it. If you want to get involved, we have a map, which will be linked in the description of this video, where you can find a church within these denominations that still holds to the essentials of Christianity and can be a good base for building back up these denominations. We also have a Discord community, which will be linked in the description, for mainline Protestants who want to fellowship with each other and encourage each other in rebuilding the church. The reason I bring this up is because, as fun as it is posting about Christianity on the internet, we need to direct this energy towards building up the church in real life.
Yeah,
and although Christianity is good for...
I don't think we need to do that, man. I think the churches are doing just fine. I think they are. I can't hear shit. Good, stay off that Valorant. My lips are dry. I really hate having DSL. Sorry to be off topic because I'm enjoying this, but a friend tried to add me as a Steam family, and it said I'm not eligible. I'm not in his region. What the fuck do I need a VPN? I don't know. Maybe. Is he in a different country? I don't think a VPN would work, no. No, you would need to, like, change the region set on your Steam account. Michigan? Let's see. I didn't even know that. I didn't know it was, like, region locked. Yeah. Yeah, that's tough.
Culture. We shouldn't be Christian because of that. It's good for culture because it's true. The real meaning of Christianity is not being a based gigachad who crusades for the culture on the internet. It's about recognizing that God came down from heaven and died for your sins, so you could be forgiven and have eternal life. But you don't need to wait until you die to go to heaven. The kingdom of heaven begins here on earth, and you can participate in building it up in anticipation of when Christ shall return to restore all things.
And that's why you need to be homophobic. And that's why you need to be super fucking homophobic. Yeah.